There we go. Sorry about that. Changed the phone setting inadvertently somehow and didn't realize what I was doing. July 3rd, here in southern Ontario, and whoa, man, is it a hot one. I hate it when it's hot like this. I can't get anything done. So I thought I'd amuse myself with another video. As per the title, it's not prejudice, it's a learned behavioral response. I'm going to tell you a little story, some background. In 1979, I left my little hometown, a small town in southern Ontario, farming community. Now at that time, there were no East Indian people in my town. I'd heard the term Packy bantered about, but never really in a personal context. Hadn't paid it any mind. I wasn't raised prejudicially by my parents. So, anyways, I find myself out in BC, in the Caribou, in a town called Williams Lake. Actually, I get off the bus and they all got gun racks in the windows, and I tucked my hair up under my hat. Pretty quickly discovered, again, in 1979, they smoked joints, pot, openly in the bar after work in the afternoon shift. Now, I'd arrived in town about a month after another fella. His name was Dave. Now, Dave was university educated. He just got a job as the assistant personnel supervisor in the mill. It was a plywood mill, I think I said I got a job in. We'd go out every 2 or 3 weeks, once or twice a month maybe, to have dinner together. We both enjoyed a decent meal out, and neither of us knew each other. Now, Dave had that usual, you know, they'd done 2 years of university smugness that people who've taken 2 years of creative basket weaving at a university seem to have. Anyways, I said to him pretty quick off, you know, he was asking how I was adapting, I'm asking how he's adapting. He'd come from Vancouver on the coast, so he was having a bit of cultural shock as well, although not as much as I was. But one of the subject matters that quickly came up, I said, you know, the people I work with, they really don't like these Packies, eh? Oh, Scott, he says with that condescending university speak. They're not Packies, they're East Indians. And that's just prejudice. I said, I don't know, they all seem to have a story. They're all sawdust heads, he says. I said, sawdust heads? Yeah, the guys you work with, they're all just, we call them sawdust heads up in the office there. They're all stupid. Most of them never graduated high school. I think he forgot I only had a grade 9 education, but anyways, I'm thinking, just calling them sawdust heads? Is that a form of prejudice? I don't know. So, some time goes by, a few months. We're having dinner again. And he starts grousing about the East Indians. Now, I'd noticed at work, they kept to themselves. They had their lunch together. I learned pretty quickly there's no point in saying, hey buddy, how you doing, as you cross them on the shop floor. So largely I just ignored them. Anyways, Dave, he says, starts telling me about how he's really disliking them. He's got to hire a certain quota of them, and he's having difficulty fulfilling that quota, because their resumes are always not adding up properly. He's young, wants to move up in the company, he takes his responsibility seriously. He doesn't want to make any blunders in the eyes of his superiors. He doesn't want to make a mistake in hiring. It's all union, very strong union. So I said, well, you know, what's up with that, Dave? He says, well, you know, he tells a story just, you know, a couple of weeks ago. This guy came in and his resume is pretty sketchy. It's not adding up. He doesn't hire the guy. Next thing, there's a guy, an East Indian, knocking at his apartment door at home in the evening, 10 o'clock at night. He's got a bottle of booze. You hire my brother-in-law, or cousin, or whatever it was. I give you this gift to Mr. Dave. Well, Mr. Dave, straight as an arrow, this guy. No, I can't hire him. Things don't add up. He says the guy's back night after night. Maybe a different kind of booze. Dave's trying to explain to him, no, his resume doesn't add up. You know, I put him in the discard pile. Well, next thing, they're threatening Dave. Phone calls, accosting him in the parking lot while he's grocery shopping. The long short of it is, Dave's going, oh, I'm learning to just loathe them. What terrible, heinous creatures they are. Now, he won't really out and out call them a packy, but he's spitting nails when he's talking about them. I said, geez, Dave, you're starting to sound like them. They're sawdust heads. Well, that stops him dead in his tracks. He's like, oh. I reached over, patted his little university hand. I said, don't worry, my friend. It's not prejudice. That's called a learned behavioral response. He doesn't quite know what to say. You know, am I slagging him a little bit? Oh, sure I am. It's kind of a little quiet for a minute. I said, well, you can't admit you've learned to loathe them, haven't you? Yeah, he says. Another little incident at the mill during that same time, there were two of these East Indian individuals. I was young, naive, I didn't know anything. I wanted to work there long enough to put a little bankroll together and go hitchhiking around the province. So all this undercurrent of tension. Two East Indians apparently had gone off on compensation, injured their backs. They were caught driving cabs down on the coast in Vancouver. So they were fired. The East Indian contingent wanted the union to go to bat for them. The union said, no, you know, we're here to battle legitimate claims, not, you know, not crookedness. So they go around trying to stir up, foment discontent. I remember them coming. I was working off on my own. Again, I'm young, naive. I don't know anything about this union business. Got to back your union brother. I'm like, who are you talking about? I've never even met these guys. Oh, the cab drivers. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Good luck with that. So, there's an example of a learned behavioral response. I know a gal now, she's 30 years old, first generation East Indian. Her parents came over here, well, before she was born. They're not rich, they don't own a sweatshop over there. Father's a cab driver, was and still is. Worked hard, lived straight, bought their own house, put her and her siblings through university. And neither she nor her parents will hang out with East Indians. I asked her why. I said, why is that? She said, they're East Indians. She said, they're terrible. You know what they're like. That's because I have an East Indian landlord. And, I'm not going to get into the details, but look you in the eye and lie to you. Think nothing of it. I'll come back to him in a moment. Anyways, this gal and her family, they don't want anything to do with what you might consider calling their own kind. They're not their own kind. mean, not East Indian. Every East Indian is a Packy. Using Packy as a derogatory term. Something to be said in that, isn't there? I was talking to my landlord one time a while ago, and he said, "Oh, Scott, very prejudiced here in southern Ontario." I tried to explain to him about the learned behavioral response. No, prejudice. So, okay, if you think so. Now, in the time I've lived here, if anybody's watching, boy, would I like to get out of here, but with this COVID, nothing's for rent. I'm kind of stuck here. Anyways, it's been developed into a truck parking lot with a considerable percentage of the patrons, if that would be the right term, East Indians. Haven't a clue how to drive. In the winter, I've been plowing the lot, and I keep it well plowed. They'll come to the door. "You must help me." Who are you? "You must help me." I do? I'm stuck. There's no reason you're stuck. Lock your diffies. Lock your axles. They don't know anything about it. Like, there's a button on the dash, plainly marked, 2 buttons. You lock those. "You must help me." I must? I often use the line, "What, were you the guy who carried me out of the jungle in Nam? What do you mean I must help you?" They're absolutely shameless. And if you do go bail them out, I've learned, they don't offer you anything. Not a chance. Not even. You thank you, and they're gone. Poof. They'll get stuck again a week later, same deal. You're like, "You didn't give me anything for last time." You know. Any of the other guys here in the yard, if I bail them out of a jam, they need a boost, some extra plowing, they might be stuck. Just need an extra set of hands for a minute. They're offering me something. Whether I take it or not, that depends. If I decline, they'll show up with my favorite beverage, no problem. The East Indian guys, 2 examples. One guy wants me to plow him out. He's in an area that doesn't get plowed. I said, "Well, you just want me to punch a hole to get out of there? That's $40. He says, "I'll give you 30. I said, "No, it's 40. What are you talking about?" He goes, "We're negotiating." I said, "No, it's $40. He goes, "I'll give you 30. So what are you talking about? He goes, "Well, we're negotiating. You wanted 40, I offered you 30. That's 5 for each of us." I said, "Now it's 50. Now we're negotiating." Another example, guy comes to the door, he's stuck. And he's done a stupid. I'm not going to get into the details. He shouldn't have got stuck in the first place. Now he's got himself really messed up. Because he's stupid, doesn't know what he's doing. I said, "Look, I don't think my equipment's going to pull that out of there. You've made such a mess. It's 8 o'clock at night. I got to put my gear on, go out there in the dark." Said, "I want $20 to try and 50 if I get you out." Pretty begrudgingly. So, I get out there. Sure enough, I can't get him out. Then he says he's got tire chains. I said, "You got tire chains?" "Well, I don't know how to put them on." I said, "You don't have to put them on. Poke them under the wheels like a ladder and drive across them. Show me." So he drives out. I said, "Give me the $50. "Well, you didn't get me out." "So I don't think you get out on your own." No, you didn't get me out. "Give me the 20. "No. Actually, there were 3 of them there. And I said, "Well, you give me the 20, or I'll punch all 3 out, and then I want 50. They gave me the 20. It's pretty begrudging. Next time they were stuck, I just said no. So, there you go. That's the difference between prejudice and a learned behavioral response. And I guess that's really all I had to say on that matter. Other than you can see it happening again right now with the Black Lives Matter in the States. You can see the people who have their heads screwed on straight, be they white, black, Latino, Mexican, anything and everything else under the sun, I guess. You know, racially tolerant, largely not prejudiced. Although, as I've said before, there are prejudicial problems in the States that fortuitously we don't have in Canada. But they're their own worst enemies with this rioting and looting and destruction. A lot of people who were unprejudiced, or you might say unbiased, perhaps sitting on the fence, not terribly concerned about the issue. They're watching this and going, oh man, if I was sitting on the fence, that just pushed me over and to the wrong side, as far as if black lives really did matter. Of course, I'm not quite mixing apples and oranges with our East Indians here in Canada as what I am with the Black Lives Matter issue in the States. There are a host of similarities, one couldn't argue. And I forgot what I was going to summate with. Oh, yes, I know. A lot of people are going to fault me for this. They're going to say, you've crossed the line here, buddy. But Islam, look what's happened everywhere they've gone in large numbers. And look what's happening here. They admit it. Sharia law. Nothing else will suffice for them. And I've said in other videos, we can't afford them in Canada right now, financially. This open door, vast number of immigrants. And we can't. We don't want them here socially either. They're not a pleasant people. So, there you go. I stuck my neck out a little today, but that's my opinion. And for the moment, I'm allowed to say it here in Canada. We still have freedom of the press, although there's a little less every day, and that's something you should be concerned about too. Thanks for listening. Take care. Good luck to us all.